guys, this is Richard Chu and Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics podcast. And of course, this is Richard Chu with Chu's Views on WCPT Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Yeah, this is what we kind of added to our show and added to our work that we're doing to kind of keep you guys plugged in. And we're calling it Chu's Views After Hours. And you can find this on my page at WCPT, and you can share it, as we always say. But Karen and I were talking after we wrapped up today's Friday segment about the mainstream media's faulting, and that right now this whole conversation about the mainstream media, NBC and NBC Universal spinning off stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't spin off things in 2 weeks. This was planned. This was something that goes back further than we'll probably ever really know. Mm-hmm. And my assessment and assertion to Karen was and is that they saw their ratings slipping. Mm-hmm. They saw that there were issues that they couldn't fix without changing some things radically. So the radical change was to sell off and spin off. But let's be honest. I think that they knew that Trump was going to be detrimental to their ratings if he won, because people would tune out. Versus if Kamala had won, who actually would have been good for their ratings, because people would have been excited to see stories about this new, successful, bright, vibrant woman of color president. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen. So this wasn't something that happened overnight, Karen. I mean, they failed us for a long time. But I'm going to say this, and I'll give the baton to Karen. Individuals have failed by not being plugged in, by not being aware of what's happening, and being so arrogant and somewhat willfully ignorant that they didn't need to, in their minds, didn't need to know or to do research. Right. And Karen spoke of a story that an encounter she had with a woman in that space. Right.
And so she, said, well, I'm pretty purple, but, and I do pay attention to things. And her Republican voting friends were taking issue with the fact that we had all these tent cities in Chicago popping up because of the migrants that had been illegally abducted in Texas by Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott and transported across state lines and then dumped on our 90 corridor. And, she basically said, and I don't know what kind of language I can use on this after hours thing.
But Alex will be the determining factor of that.
Okay. She basically said that they're in the streets.
They're crapping in the streets.
Crapping in the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and I said, okay. And I said, well, you do understand what happened, and that's why we're here. And she said, well, maybe you shouldn't declare yourself a sanctuary city then. And so therefore we asked for it. And I said, look, you don't understand. I said, there may be an issue at the border. I said, but there was a bipartisan bill that was in place, ready to roll, and Donald Trump killed it, that would have provided funding for border security.
What was her response?
And she was like, I didn't know that.
And so this is where, as much as mainstream media dropped the ball and dropped it again, and we let it, and it was continued to be allowed to drop. Mm-hmm. Individuals and their arrogance. Mm-hmm. She knew everything about.
Oh, sure.
And had her chest stuck out about sanctuary cities.
Right.
But didn't know.
Right.
That a critical bit of legislation would have affected the overall conversation around what's happening at the southern border.
Right.
And that's the part where citizenry has failed itself.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, but can we just talk about the hypocrisy, too, of our MAGA Christians, quote unquote?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you say it. I mean, listen, we've got a bunch of folks out here who take the position that because I'm a Christian, I get to act a certain way.
Sure. So you can call people retard. And, we can deny the stranger. We can have people showing up for asylum, seeking shelter and help. And you want to call yourself a Christian, and we're going to be gathering in another month or so to celebrate the birth of a brown baby whose family you would turn away if they showed up on your doorstep looking for food and shelter. Yeah. That's the bottom line.
That's the hypocrisy.
And then when you want to spin it, that giving sanctuary to human beings, not illegals. These are human beings.
They're all, it's, again, all God's children.
All God's children.
Keep going, Karen.
And so do not come to me and tell me that you have a Christian bone in your body. You are denying the Christ story.
Yep.
When we talk about policy at the border.
We are.
And what you want to do and when you want to deport people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that you're okay with a guy deciding to invade a country.
Yeah.
Because he wants to take back land.
Yeah.
That if you are of Christian belief, that's not your land.
That's right.
That's the land of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And you're willing to kill people for that.
Yep.
And then threaten others if they decide to help those who are in danger.
Yeah.
But yet, Russia has put it out there that they're this sort of Christian nation. But the hypocrisy behind it, to use Karen's word, is palpable. They want to. And so, listen, I've been saying this for a long time, and some people have challenged me on it, and that's fine. I welcome it. The four, legs to the stool in this recent election, and all of the elections that we've just encountered, are about four things: racism, sexism, misogyny, and Christian nationalism.
Yep.
Those are they're not and you could then build a story how some of the other things are impacted by them. But at the end of the day, that's the conversation that a lot of people don't want to have because it makes them check their own positions on things. If you waste money, that's your business. There's there's some principles behind that could say, that's not a good thing to do. If you want to drive, if you want to take public transportation versus drive because you're trying to help the economy, okay, great. But if you want to drive because it's more convenient for you, I ain't got no issue with that. Versus take public transportation, that's your choice. Right. I can make a connection to that about the environment. So there's not one subject that someone could present to me that I couldn't link it to and say, okay, there's a dotted line there. But the four key things that this country just voted, the things that people were really voted about, were not about I want to live in a safer community. Or I want to live in a country that has a better climate perspective. It was about, I don't want brown people ascending. Right. I don't want women ascending. Right. I don't want people from another country that's south of our border ascending or even being here. And I don't want to have anybody that doesn't look like me or think like me or love like me to be able to have any purview. Right.
So, in other words, I don't believe in freedom. I don't believe in freedom. And when you talk about Christian, quote unquote, nationalism, okay, Christian, because there is nothing about it when your view, your ideology is to scapegoat other human beings, okay? Jesus didn't do that. Nope. Jesus was about challenging the powers that be. That's what he did. He challenged the elders in the temples, okay, and the money collectors.
Yep.
Okay, that's what he did. Okay, if we're
going to use that as your template. If we're going to use that as yes, if we are going to use that. So, therefore, it has everything to do about taking away freedoms from some people that don't look like you, don't love like you, don't identify. And giving it an inordinate amount of that freedom to others.
To others, exactly.
So when we talk about this sort of real, when I've heard people say, well, that's increasing taxes on the wealthy and the uber wealthy is just repositioning resources and all that conversation. Well, that's what you're doing anyhow by taking resources, because this is a little bit of a pivot, but not really, Karen, on this subject around reducing the staffing of different federal departments. So let's think about this for a second. Let me, so help me with this, but I want to say it in the most cogent way and quick way I can. All right. So I asked this question, and I got two parts. One, make sure I come back to this and talk about it on a state level. The first thing is, I want to know where that money is going to go. So if we eliminate all these jobs in different departments, tied to that are compensation and benefits. Where is that money going to go?
Yeah.
Is that money going to go into our federal coffers to reduce the debt? And if so, I want a line item breakdown to see how it reduced the debt.
Sure.
If not, where is that money going? Is it going to be indirectly? Because listen, if we're going to make things more doji, then we need to stop giving Elon Musk
That's right.
Contracts. And what's the old boy's name? Peter Thiel.
Yeah.
Many of them should stop getting government contracts.
That's right.
If we're gonna make it more efficient, help me understand how Tesla is the only company that should get federal support and assistance to build their brand.
Right.
So where's the money going to go when you cut these departments?
Well, and I know that with Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and yes, you had mentioned it on air, talking about that they want to, Dr. Oz wants to privatize our insurance, and they want to do that with Project 2025. They want to do that to Medicare.
Yep.
So basically what they want to do, and they want to gut Social Security. So what is going to happen with that? Likely what's going to happen with that is it's going to fund the tax scam that he did the last time around. And that's where that money's going to go.
And some of it's going to go toward universally used Bitcoin.
Right.
Going to go to this sort of cryptocurrency conversation. That's where a lot of those federal dollars, I believe, are going to end up. With the goal being to tank the markets.
Yeah.
And make people further dependent and force people to consider crypto. I think that that's part of the plan.
Okay.
And it'll create an uber wealthy group of people that will control that currency.
Right.
I'm paying attention to that. But Karen's right. The money that's going to come out of the programs that are used as backstops and support. I mean, listen, for those of you who think that they're going to fix, that the economy is going to get fixed and it's going to be better and it's going to be all these things. If you take away the biggest source of sustenance, financial sustenance for everyday Americans, which is Social Security, that alone will crash the economy.
Yeah.
Because those folks use that money in many cases to pay certainly their basic things, but a lot of the things that are considered not just basic, but just going out to dinner. Right. Or going on an additional vacation. And the list goes on of what people who are on Social Security will now have to make an adjustment for because of what they will want to do through the courses of Project 2025.
Absolutely.
I wanted to come back to the local piece in terms of federal jobs. I think the number one or two employer in the state of Illinois is the federal government. As is true in most states in the country.
Right.
So for all you knuckleheads in red states that said that you wanted this, one of the sustaining factors in your state is the state's employment, the county's employment, and the federal government's employment. So now what you've done is decided to elect these fools who are going to take, and by the way, the federal employment system is a backboard to the county and state employment system. Yeah. Yeah. Because many of those are people who have not dual roles, but they have roles where, how do I want to put this? Again, dotted lines. The federal and state integration is important, and the county and city integrations are important because a lot of the funding that we get in a particular, in all states, not in a given one state, is because of how the federal, what's the word I want to use? The federal allocations that are allowed to keep people employed in a community. Sure. That's going to go away. Right. Or it would be a threat of going away.
Well, and let's talk about overtime pay, because a lot of people I heard say that what they liked was that they weren't going to tax overtime pay. He was talking about that. Okay, well, guess what? Project 2025?
There's not going to be any overtime.
There's not going to be any overtime.
So you can't tax if it ain't there.
What's that going to do to your economy?
Yeah. Not going to, and what's it going to do to the welfare the physiological welfare
Right.
of employees who now have to work an inordinate amount of hours in a shorter window of time,
Right.
and then not get paid for the other opportunities to grow their personal income. It's really, that's why Karen's sticker Stop Project 2025 is so important. Y'all should get some. If you want some, you can, after you click on this and you're listening to it,
Yeah.
but
My stepdaughter, Melissa, made those up for me.
nice.
And, since this isn't going over the airwaves at large, I am actually engaging in some civil disobedience and popping those on street signs.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know who said that. Somebody said that.
I don't know.
It was some mystical voice in my head that said that.
But yeah. So if people want to help me out here,
Karen's you got to understand. Karen's from Chicago area. She's got a little gangster in her, so
a little bit.
I say that every now and again about her in the most loving of ways.
But can I just say, so Roland Martin, he's one of the people that I am turning to now for just kind of like, okay, how do we move forward? And something that he said was very important. He mentioned that a friend of his said, how are you able to just move ahead? And he's like, because I don't have any time for despair.
Nope.
I don't have any time to be in a depressed state. We have a fight ahead, and we have got to, again, don't isolate. Find your people. Okay. And I would say what they want to do, and this is not Roland saying, this is me saying it. We cannot allow them to sort us. Sort us out so that we are all on our own and we're fragmented. We have a coalition. We had a coalition. We still need to have a coalition.
I could do the math in my head, but I won't. Basically, the Electoral College elected Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Not really the popular vote.
Right.
Okay, close enough. But the point is, this is a close race.
Yeah.
Which says that we're still armed with all our people. And
That's
as I
right.
say, all of our people means all of our people.
That's right.
So let's be honest. All of our players means all of our players. Let's be honest. This doggone thing was close, is close.
It's not a mandate.
It's not a mandate. Not even close to a mandate.
No.
So because of that, that's the message that we have to keep rotating through.
That's right.
This thing was close, and we have to stay connected, which is why I keep talking about we have to stay connected.
Right.
Because they will try to fragment us. And one of the ways they're going to try to do it is by taking away things that are support systems that will cause people to fight over the leavings.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
They're going to fight over the leftovers that's on the table. We can't allow ourselves to do that.
No.
And we have to push the people that have been elected to do what what's the dude from he's out in California, Swalwell.
Yeah.
Say what he's saying. Say what Crockett's saying. Say what Lee is saying. And we have to get behind them. Like I said before, we got your back. You go ahead and bring that sledgehammer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we need alpha liberals fighting for us in the Democratic Party. And I would say to everybody as well, get involved with Indivisible. Okay, they've got a whole new guide out. Build community, talk to people across
create your own organization.
Cultural lines, across racial lines. We need to have each other's back. And I know the ACLU is active. They are very well funded. They're doing some work to try and slow this down. What we really need to do is, now I'm hearing that they are moving pretty quickly to get these empty judiciary federal
judges in place.
We have to look to not 4 years from now. Okay, because it's almost too daunting to even think about it, and there's too many unknowns and too many things that can happen between now and then. But what we can do is we can slow this down enough to the midterms
to catch our breath and be able to make the change.
Get the midterms, get the House back, get the Senate, and that will be a check, because with the unitary executive, basically he can go ahead and co-opt the DOJ, and he can do what he can do, but there are organizations like the ACLU, support them.
Support, as part of my go forward, the last two things I talk about is find out who your blue elected officials are wherever you are, and in other states as well. And the second thing that you must do, and please take this to heart, you have to get involved with an organization, because to Roland Martin's point, that will reduce the chances to get fragmented.
That's right.
If you have to create your own, and there's 5 people that are going to be part of your organization, then do that.
Yeah.
But you cannot isolate yourself.
No.
You can't. Don't be too proud to reach out to folks and say, what are you working on? Who are you connected to? Who are you talking to? Don't be so proud that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because that right there could be your lifeline.
Yeah.
Is who is it that I know that's doing stuff? And one of the things that I'm going to be continuing to do on Choose Views is let people know that I am here for them. They can reach out to me. I'm reasonably well connected. I know a few folks, and get people plugged into doing things.
Right.
And I'm already starting to get emails from people that are saying, what about this? How do I get involved with this? That's how we win this, guys, is that we stay connected. And
Well,
I'm going to do my part.
Hey, listen, and people, I'm here as well, TruBlu Politics podcast, but also, we've expanded it out, but I have a Facebook page that I started. I started kind of the Stephanie Miller community of fans, and so during the pandemic, we started a Zoom every other week, Zoom meetups.
Yep.
Okay, and that is a way to have, because we were all isolated,
right.
Right. And so we found each other.
Yep.
So we need to find each other. And so there's the official Chicago Steph Heads Facebook page.
Perfect.
We have a community.
Tap into it,
I have
guys.
a walking group. We're all just kind of, because again, to your point, we have got to take care of our health. We have got to drink water. We have to touch grass. We have to be in community. I'm not wasting my time in conversation or community or anything with these MAGA voters anymore. I just can't.
Even people that, listen, I had a caller this week who came on the line, and the first thing he wanted to do is talk about how Donald Trump was the first to talk about tips and how Kamala Harris didn't. And then he went down this path. And I quickly asked him, I said, listen, his name is Gregory. So I said, Gregory, who did you vote for? And you probably heard he said he voted for Jill Stein. I was done with him at that point.
Exactly.
We ain't got nothing to talk about.
Nope.
You voted for Jill Stein, which means that you had a protest vote. Because were you not plugged in enough to know that she had no chance of winning?
Right.
And so to that end, I took it even more uberly personal, is that he wouldn't vote for a black woman.
That's right.
Because he voted for a woman, but he wouldn't vote for a black woman.
Yeah.
So I took gender off the table.
There you go.
So I ain't got time for those people.
Right. But, I'm not even going to give him that much credit.
You're better than me in that space.
No, I'm not going to even give him that much credit. I'm not going to give him any credit that he, voted for a woman.
Because
he voted for a woman that couldn't win.
Right. So
he voted
protest.
for a Russian asset.
He really voted for himself. He voted for his own
so he could sit there and puff himself up. I'm above all of this. Okay,
Right.
Well, guess what? You just hurt a whole lot of people. And it's the same thing with these white women down south that were able to, in their minds, separate out, the abortion issue, vote on the ballot measure.
Yep.
To safeguard abortion, or
in their state for a time being.
For a time being.
But the stupidity of that was, if a national abortion ban, I'm sorry, Karen, I've cut you.
Well, right, exactly. But they were still able to vote for Trump because they can't vote for a black woman.
Yeah.
Okay. So
razor blade to the wrist.
That is what that is. And again, the lack of the mainstream media, to circle back to them, the mainstream media's utter failure and not sounding the alarm much sooner about Project 2025. Not calling it American autocracy, calling it this. Look, they've got a blueprint. Okay, they are well funded, well organized.
Yeah.
They are recruiting and training people. Okay, so we cannot be surprised that, wow, how are they appointing all these people so quickly?
Because they were ready to appoint them.
They were ready to roll.
That's why this breaking down of NBC wasn't something that they came up with, 2 weeks ago. they've been planning this for a while because they knew that there was a chance that they would be put in that position. So, guys, listen, it is always great to chop it up with Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics podcast. Check it out.
Yes.
All right, guys, we're going to shut it down, but we always love to have a little extra time and bring you Choose Views After Hour here as part of the WCPT Heartland Signal platform. Check us out and spread the word, guys.
Happy Turkey Day. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.